Hey, what's up, everyone? It's Mir. This is the first time that I've ever recorded two videos back to back, unless I was doing a part one and a part two. And the video that I'm making now, it is completely different from my other one. I really find it interesting that as I am recording these videos and I'm playing them back, it's interesting how some of the content automatically leads into the next video, but that's not, what I'm planning. I literally will just speak on what's on my heart. So the title of this video is actually going to be called You Have No Time. You have no time to waste. You have no time to hang around with fake people. You have no time to act a fool. You have no time to be foolish. You have no time to be careless. As we get older, I'm really truly realizing that life is not a joke. I constantly will get down on myself because I feel like life is just passing me by and I'm not where I want to be. And I know that God is going to make up for that. I know that He is a restorer and He's a healer, and He, will not only bless me double for my trouble, but He will also, restore the time that has been stolen from me as well. I am a little down and about because one of my closest friends, is away, and some other people that I know, they're out of the state, and they're hanging out and they're having a good time. And I'm not gonna lie, I'm in that position where I wish, that was me. And long story short, I'm not there because it's just not where God wants me. And one of the things that I realized is that when you become born again, it's not about you. It's about God. It's about living according to His purpose. It's about living according to His calling. And like I said before, you're always going to find joy doing God's work. But it is very critical that you need to know that you do not have time to hang around the wrong people. You do not have time to BS around. You do not have time to sit up here and to be foolish in your mistakes, and to do stupid things that you know that are not good for you, and that you know that that's going to harm you. You don't have time to, be foolish and then also act in your flesh. And every single day when you wake up in the morning and when you know that you have business to do, you need to know that you don't have time. And I'm talking about the things that don't matter. I'm not talking about the things that do matter. I'm not saying that, when you see somebody on the street that you can't hold a conversation. I'm not saying any of that. I'm just saying that you need to cut godless chatter. You do not have time for gossip. You do not have time to invest your time into things that is not going to help you and that is not going to propel you towards your destiny. You do not have time for it. And people that try to invade my space and my time, and people that try to, cloud my time, I cut them off. Because at the end of the day, this is my journey. And either you are with me or either you're not with me. So I want you to sit back and I want you to really do an inventory check and start, even if you need to do a daily journal. What are you giving your time to? What are you investing your time to? Is it helping you or is it hurting you? Because a lot of times we can be so blind to the point where we really don't see anything that we're doing wrong, and the next thing you know, it's blocking our blessing. When you're in a relationship, life is so short, and it really is short. You do not have time to sit here and be with someone that wants to act a fool every damn day. You don't have time to be with someone that wants to not only physically abuse you, but verbally abuse you as well, mentally abuse you as well. They have issues. Let them get their crap together. If you know in your heart that you want to go back to school, well then you don't have time to roll with those who are trying to tell you otherwise. If you have somewhere that you need to be, if you have something that you need to do, you do not have time for people to push you down and tell you no. When you're at work and when you're called on your mission and when you're called at your job and you're doing everything to the best of your ability, you do not have time to get caught up in the conversations that have nothing to do with you. And especially if they're the ones that's putting their family business out there. Because I'm not commenting on that. Because God is showing me that someday that when I do get married and when me and my husband, if we wind up going through issues, you are not to take your personal issues out into the workplace. You either talk to a pastor or you talk to a counselor or a close friend. But you are not to sit up here and put your business out for public display. You don't have time. And God is really making me see that. There were so many days that, as I was growing up, I didn't want to do homework. I didn't want to study. I didn't want to do assignments. I didn't want to do anything. All I wanted to do was rip and run the streets and play with the kids. The minute I saw one person outside, all I wanted to do was play sports. I didn't want to read. I didn't want to study. I didn't want to do any of that. So I was not a nerd growing up. I was not a geek, as they call it, growing up. And you need to know that you do not have time. Time is running out and time is also running short. And time is also something that you cannot get back. So I pray that each and every day that you really do know what the will of your life is. Because another thing too, you do not have the time to be somewhere that you are not supposed to be at. You don't have time to hang around with the wrong people. You don't have time to be around with people that don't want to lift you up. You don't have time. If you're at a job and maybe God is nudging you and he's telling you that eventually you're going to move, it's time to move. You don't have time to stay there another minute. And the other thing, you do not have time to argue with people. And especially when I know I'm right, I'm not arguing with you. I'm not doing it. Because this is all the crap that the enemy wants. Confusion and strife and worry and anger. Because when you use up all your energy in the wrong thing, you're never going to have the energy that you need for the right thing. I can't begin to tell you how, other jobs that I went through and just listening to their conversations. I had really no choice but to listen to their conversations because I was in such close proximity to these people. But you have no time. There are some people that really do thrive off of drama. Because if they don't have that drama, then they feel like they don't have anything else going on in their lives. There are some people out there that really do not want to change. They make it seem like they do, but deep down inside they really don't, because it is a way for them to constantly attract the attention, and you do not have time to give that person the attention. You do not have time to invest yourselves in the people who do not want anything and who do not want to move forward in their life. You don't have the time. And you also do not have the time to be around people who are not going to be loyal to you. You do not have the time. You can be a blessing to people and you can help people and you can coach people all you want to. But I'm talking about people who have the malicious intent on not wanting the best for you. You do not have the time. You do not have the time to keep up with the latest trends and who's doing what and who's doing this and who's sleeping around with who. You don't have the time. But you do have the time for God. And you do have the time to stay with Him. You do have the time to pray with Him. You have the time to talk to Him. And as I'm making these videos, I just keep on getting little pinches of my past. And I think about how much time I've wasted and thank God I'm still young. That's time that I can't get back. But I thank God that now that I'm born again, that he's a restorer of time, so he can do things within a split of a second that technically that would have taken me years to get done. There are people that, that I've talked to, people that have expressed their concerns to me about how hard it is to let go. And I am letting you know right now that if it is blocking your blessing and if it's coming in between you and God, you seriously need to cut it. Because despite the difficulties that we are going through, despite the challenges that we are going through, and notice that I'm saying we because I'm in this too, there is nothing like missing your blessing. There is nothing like working up until this very point, and then because of your own selfishness and because of your flesh and because you're in a moment of I want, you're going to miss it or you're going to block it. And it feels like as if almost you have to kind of start the process all over again. Because you went through that waiting phase, now you're close, then you took a step back, now you have to wait again. You do not have the time to run with those who do not want anything out of life. And you do not have the time to be somewhere that you know deep down in your spirit that you are not supposed to be. And I am talking about when God has told you no. You do not have time. There is a girlfriend of mine that I was friends with some years ago. And I come to find out, I kind of knew that something was off about the whole entire situation. But again, I was so deep down into my own issues that I was just like, well, whatever. I really don't care about that right now. And I come to find out that she had been talking shit about me the whole entire time. I wasn't surprised. But I just thought it was so amazing how God used somebody else to reveal the truth to me. And I knew that this person wasn't lying because this individual had new stuff that I never told him. And then I come to find out that they both were talking about me. You do not have the time. And then this person tried to call me back and then tried to be friends with me, like as if I didn't know what was going on. It took me 2 years to hold my peace. So imagine being friends with somebody who you know that did you dirty and then you don't even say anything and you keep all of that in. And finally, I told the truth. I'm not cursing you out. I'm not doing it because I don't have the time. And furthermore, you're in a worse position than I am. So why am I going to waste my time? What exactly is going to come from this conversation? And especially if you know something and then somebody can't be real with you, what difference does it make? You know what you know. And that's why I say that God sends us the warning signs. And like I said, if you're in school, if you're a mother, if you are CEO of a company or whatever the case may be, you are still called and you are still doing God's business and you do not have time. You do not have time for distractions. You can manage your time, you can schedule your time, and you can prioritize your time. But I am talking about that you do not have time to invest yourself into people or to situations that will not benefit you nor suit you. And every single situation that you get into, you really have to stop and think, is this helping me or is this hurting me? Is this drawing me closer to God or is this pulling me further away? And you really need to analyze that. Because let's say, for example, if you enjoy going out, you go out and you have the time of your life, you're going to turn right back around and you want to do that again the next weekend. And then bit by bit, because you're out there, you're going to be out there in the world before you even know it. Is that hurting you or is that helping you? You do not have time to worry about what other people say about you. Because whether you do good, people are going to talk. Whether you do bad, people are going to talk. And there's a coach that I follow on Facebook, and I really love listening to him because he's honest and he's real. There are times when we do give in to our haters. There are times when, we do address certain situations. And I think that you should address certain situations to set the audience straight. But then if you decide to still believe whatever you want to believe, then go right ahead. You don't have the time to control of what other people think about you. You don't have the time. There are people that I know eventually that as I build my crowd, there are people that are probably going to, try to sabotage me, or there are people that are going to try to, unfriend me, things of that nature. All leaders get persecuted. That's just the way it is. All leaders get persecuted. And that's why God has taken me through everything that I have been through to get me to this very moment. Because all leaders get persecuted. But I do not have the time to keep up. I'm not going to sit up here and every single day I'm checking my friend list to see who's on my friend page. I'm not doing it. And a lot of times when people go, as I have told coaches in the fitness business, it is a blessing that they go. If people don't want to do business with you and people want to sabotage you, it is really a blessing that they are showing their true colors now and not later on. Because I know for me, the sooner the better. And that's why I'm saying that you do not have time. You do not have time to keep up with things that are not going to promote you or things that are not going to help you in life. And I'm so happy that, that I am still single, because when you're in a relationship and when someone is bringing you down, that really does make you feel a lot worse. I don't want to be with somebody just to be with someone. I don't have the time. So, I just really want you guys to think about that. Just please be mindful of your daily habits. Please be mindful of the people that you come encounters with. Even at your job. I took a course on time management. And just be mindful of your daily activities. Just constantly, like I said before, we are a work in progress. And I just really don't have time to deal with godless chatter. I don't have time to sit around and gossip about people. There's a difference between venting and there's a difference between gossiping. Venting, you're mad about a particular situation and you're screaming and you're like, oh my God, I can't believe that this is really happening. You're venting. Gossiping is when you're taking out the time and you're telling me about somebody else's lifestyle or what's going on in their personal life. I don't have the time for that. And furthermore, their business is not for you to tell. It's for them to tell. If you, for example, like I love fitness. Outside of the insurance industry, I love fitness and I love sports and I love, and I still do love going out. But I am older now and I'm a lot further along in my journey and I have more at risk. I don't have time to be foolish. Because even though that God forgives sin, it's like you still have to pay consequences for that. And thank God that He's with us as we go through those tough times. So if you are, with someone and you're having a hard time letting go, or even if it's a bad, Even if it's a decision and you're not too sure, you really need to pray on that. You really need to pray on that. And you need to know that you do not have the time. You do not have time for foolishness. And this is why I love the fact that I'm getting older, because my parents used to always say, Mir, the older you get, there's so much stuff that you're not going to tolerate as you were when you were younger. When I was younger, there was so much nonsense that I used to always try to entertain. I'm not entertaining foolishness. And I'm not entertaining nonsense. You get crazy on my Facebook posts and you get crazy on my YouTube posts, I'm just blocking you. I'm just blocking you and deleting you and reporting you. It's really as simple as that. So as I start to accept, friend requests and, things of that nature, and I am putting myself out there in front of the public eye, I am naturally getting prepared. And I really don't think that I'm going to be even more prepared than what I'm doing now. And you also do not have the time to deal with people that are going to pull you further away from God. If you're spending time in prayer and you are confident that you know that what God has planned for you, and let's say there's something that he wants you to do, and a lot of times things that he has for us, they're not going to make sense to somebody else. Especially when it comes to doing big things, like when God, calls us to do something and we have to step out of faith for that. You don't have time to stand there and to try to allow somebody to give you all the reasons as to why you shouldn't do God's calling. And that's truly all the red flag that you need. And if you're married, you don't have time to argue about dumb shit. And I am truly learning a lot, because I've never been married before, and I'm truly learning a lot with the nonsense that married people go through. And because I've had my own fair share of experiences in relationships, I don't have the time to argue about stupid shit. Life is too short for that. So again, title of this message is that you don't have time. And I'm learning that when you truly cut away things that really don't matter, it's an amazing experience, because you're not boggled down with all this clutter. You're not boggled down with all this nonsense, all this junk, if you will. People come to work and they just start spilling their business, and they start talking about all this drama and my girlfriend this and my girlfriend that. Well, you've been hanging around with her for 20 years, and you have to be careful with that kind of stuff, because a lot of times people, they put their business out there because they want attention. If somebody really wanted to change their situation, they would have changed. You've been dealing with the same crap for 20, 25 years now. And that's why I say you need to really truly listen, not talk, but you need to listen to other people's conversations. Because you do not have time to get caught up into their foolishness and their nonsense. And you also do not have time to be around people or places or whatever the case may be that is not going to push you further to God. Because as I've stated before, I have been on both spectrums, both sides. I know what it's like to be in God's will. I know what it's like to be outside. And it is a complete difference, because I know what it's like to feel his presence, and I know what it's like to not feel his presence. And it's truly like an empty feeling. That's why people struggle in the flesh. Whatever you're tempted with, you're satisfied for a moment. Then you go through withdrawal, and then now you want to go back and do the same thing again. And that's all the enemy. And you don't have time to keep bouncing back and forth. You don't have time to keep on deciding, am I going to go left or am I going to go right? So, my prayer is that you take a step back. If you're a type of person that where you're constantly always out on a run, with me, it was always challenging for me to sit still. I could never sit in one spot. And that's why I went through a period where I had to be isolated, because God had to, work with me on that, about being still, about resting. I couldn't do it back then. So my prayer for you is that you pray to God and you ask Him to remove anything and everything that is not of Him, so that you can get rid of the nonsense and make room for the blessings. Alright, y'all, peace.